week for the candidates because they will have to come back and prepare for the exams. And maximum, of course, 2 weeks for the rest of the students.
The school run by the Catholic Church has more than 1,000 students. Rashid Ronald, Sigoti Girls in the county of Kisumu.
Absolutely unfortunate. And as you would remember, there have been a number of incidents, of school fires. The most infamous was that one in Changuli, the Changuli Boys Secondary School in 2001. And from the research desk now, we have my colleague, Joel Kirungi, who now joins me to give us, just walk us down memory lane to remember some of these occurrences that have happened, some of the school fires that happened. It's nice to see you, Joel.
Nice to see you too, Sharon. Well, unfortunately, what we saw today in Moi Girls School, Nairobi, is not the first incident where we've had students lose their lives out of a school fire. In 1998, Bombolulu Girls Secondary School had 26 fatalities from an arson attack, and 30 more students were injured. Later on, they renamed the school to Mazeras Memorial Secondary School. Then the following year, Nyeri High School also experienced a school fire. And what's very unfortunate about this incident is a section of students who had been suspended because of discipline issues closed 4 students, prefects, in the dormitory and torched the dormitory. And in the result for that was the students lost their lives. Then in 2010, in 2001, we had the worst school fire incident, which claimed 63 lives. And this was I think
many people remember that because it was quite...
Yeah, it was quite horrific. In fact, reports show that approximately 58 students were burnt beyond recognition, and this forced their parents to have to conduct mass burials because they couldn't really identify their loved ones. In 2010, we had Endarasha Secondary School with 2 fatalities. And then more recently, in 2012, Asumbi Girls Boarding Primary School had 8 fatalities from school fires. And this is the only incident where an electrical fault was mentioned as a cause of the fire. In all the other situations, it was caused by students protesting one thing or another. Then this year, before
all the earlier ones that we had seen.
Yes, yes. Now this year, before the before the Moi Girls Secondary School fire, there was one in Bakowino dormitory where a student who was sick decided to rest in the dormitory, and unfortunately the dormitory caught fire. And in that process, the student lost his life. Yeah.
Quite tragic.
So, in the midst of all this that is happening, you wonder, are there regulations to contain such incidences so that we don't see a number of students?
Right, because I actually remember in the wake of, that time last year when you had so many of the schools catching fire, we had a task force that was set up then,
Last year, as of July 2016, there were 126 reported cases of arson attacks in schools. So for that reason, a number of stakeholders in the education sector came together to form a task force to basically investigate what are the triggers behind the school arson attacks. And part of the recommendations that came from this report was that the Ministry of Education directed head teachers and principals to not accept students who had been transferred or expelled from their schools because of arson cases. So, and for that, CS Matiang'i also pledged to give 6 billion shillings in terms of expanding school infrastructure to deal with congestion.
Right.
Now, you ask yourself, what are the possible steps forward to...
And do we know if schools actually, adhered to this regulation?
Not really. In 2008, the Ministry of Education also released a safety manual to basically give specifications of what should be done to make sure that schools are safe for our children. And one of the regulations in that manual was that for between 150,000 shillings to 350,000 shillings was set aside for each provincial boarding secondary school to purchase firefighting equipment, because it was seen that many schools didn't have these facilities. And the idea of this manual was such that by the year 2015, all schools are considered safe zones. Now, unfortunately, with the incidences that we've just looked at, it comes to show that this has not been fully implemented, and is possibly an area that the Ministry of Education needs to consider further. And generally, schools can remedy some of these fatalities by doing annual fire drills, I beg your pardon, and basically take students through practically how to handle fire emergency situations, and also deal with the fear that comes with such events. There's also need to increase the firefighting equipment. In fact, there are proposals to have portable fire extinguishers in schools, so that instead of waiting for the fire trucks to come and put off the fire, we have that being handled. Then there's the idea of incorporating fire safety procedures in the curriculum. As we know, the Ministry of Education has
so that they can even, you know, instead of waiting for this, they can also be able to combat with the fire in the event that it occurs in school.
Exactly. The Ministry of Education has rolled out the pilot for the 2663 new education curriculum, and it will be, and based on the results of the pilot, that will inform whether we have a new system of education come January 2018. And I think this is something that the Ministry of Education, through the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, can consider, so that students from a young age are taught how to respond in terms of fire emergency situations.
All right. Thank you, Jewel. Of course, it's a very important subject to be addressed. Schools are supposed to be safe. Parents should be able to feel secure once their children go to school, that they are in a safe zone. And it would be crucial to see just how vigilant schools are in taking up some of the recommendations